Hi everyone, it's Hannah from Hand Jam Crochet, and today we are making the Starlight Mittens together. Now these mittens come as part of a wider collection that you can see some of it here. These are the hats that you can also make, and there is a sweater in the works too. I'll put all the information in the description below about where you can find all of the patterns, but today we are making the partner to this child size mitten that we have here. Now I'll show you on the adult version that we have as a pair here. We work the band here. It's a very simple construction of this mitten. We work the band in rows, and then we work the body of the mitten in overlay mosaic crochet in rounds, which is super simple once you know how to do it. We only need to use single crochets, a US single crochet and a US double crochet for it. We gently shape the top here and close it, and then we go back to the opening that we're going to leave for the thumb and add our thumb at the end. So nice and simple, nothing tricky here, literally only using single crochet and double crochet stitches. Along with your pattern, you're going to need to grab your supplies. Again, I'll put all the information in the description below, but let's go through it now. I am using Mary Maxim's Mellowspun in DK, and this is the colour Sand that I'm using for this child size mitten here. And in this child size mitten, because I've already made the hat here and tried to match the sequence of the colours, which we'll talk about in a moment when we get to making, I only have the parts of the ball that I have left to show you how to make the mitten, and this is Autumn Mist. It's absolutely beautiful as a colourway, but I will show you a full ball of a different colour here so you know what it looks like. This is Mary Maxim Prism. It's 100% acrylic, both of these yarns are, and this, I think you'll agree, is absolutely stunning in the way that the colours grade, and this works brilliantly for the yoke of the sweater, for the hats and for the mittens. Along with your yarn, you are going to need a 4mm crochet hook and a 4.5mm crochet hook, or the hooks that match the gauge for you, a pair of scissors, a needle for your ends, and a couple of stitch markers might be helpful too. So go grab your supplies and then let's get going. So first up, to begin the mitten, we are going to work this cuff here. Now you see it's doubled over, and what we're going to do is we're going to work back and forth in rows, and then we'll turn and we'll start working in the ends of those rows. So our first job is to make this ribbed cuff. And for all of our sizes, we're going to take the smaller hook, and you're going to put a slip knot on the hook. Now that I've got rid of the annoying mark on my table, we can get going. Now all of the sizes have a different length of chain here, so make sure that you check in the pattern for the size you're making. And I'm going to chain for this size 22. So we go 22 chains after you've made that slip knot there. Then once you've got the number of chains that you need, we're going to start working back along them, and I like to work in the back bumps. So I'm going to work in the second chain from the hook, a single crochet in there, and then I'll do that in each of the remaining chains that we have. So the back bump gets a single crochet in each of them. So we had 22 chains, and now we're going to go down to 21 stitches. Then at the end of that row, we're going to turn and we'll chain one, and then working into the back loops, not back, I nearly said back bumps, the back loop, sorry, of this row, we're going to work a single crochet. Now if we stand our work on its end so we can see the top of our stitches, we have this V, and so this is the front loop and this is the back loop. So we're just going to go into the back loop there of that first stitch and work a single crochet, and then we do that all the way along. Each of them gets a single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch. Then at the end of that row, we're going to turn and chain one, and then we're going to do exactly the same again. We'll single crochet in the back loop only of each of our stitches across. And this is what we now keep repeating all the way until you have enough rows on your cuff here. Now that's a different number for each of the different sizes, but for this size it's going to be 32 rows. So I'll carry on working and you carry on working your cuff, whichever size you're doing. Work your cuff and then meet me back and we'll join it together and we'll start working the main body and look at our mosaic chart too. Here I am then, I've done my 32 rows and I've chained one, and now what we're going to do is we're going to join our last row that we just made to our first row, and that will make it turn into a cuff for the bottom of the mitten. So it's flopping around, my fingers don't want to play this morning, I'm really sorry. I'm going to go into that first stitch that we have there, and I'm going to find the first stitch of the corresponding first row, and I'm going to slip stitch into that, and that will join them. The first one's always the trickiest one to get hold of. And then we're going to go into the next stitch and the corresponding stitch on the first row, so that will be your foundation chain that you did, and slip stitch in that, and you just work all the way along joining this cuff. And now don't worry about this having a ridge, because this is going to be on the inside, because we will turn our cuff upwards to hide this. So just slip stitch along, don't do them too tightly, give them some space, and that will join to form the cuff for us. Okay, so now that we have joined all of those stitches, we're going to chain one, and then we're going to change our hook. We're going to go to our bigger hook size, so the one that you met the gauge with, and you're going to get ready to start working the body of the mitten. Now this first round, because we're going to work in joined rounds now, the first round goes into the sides of each of these rows here. So for this one we did 32 rows, and so we're going to work 32 stitches all around. Now the single crochets are really lovely because we can actually see these ridges, so every time we get one of these ridges, that's 2 rows worth. So the first stitch I'm going to go and put into here, and the second one goes in before we get to that next ridge, so that's the side of a row there. And there's 3, and this is 4. So 5 and 6 and so on. Just work your way around, and then make sure at the end you've got the right number, because that will make or break our mosaic section. So work steadily around, getting your 32 stitches or however many you need for the size you're making, and then meet me back ready with your yarn B so that we can change colour for the next round. So now I've worked all of those stitches, but before we join our yarn B, I wanted to have a word with you about this sequence and how we make it work. Now, I, as you see on this one, have tried to match exactly the same sequence as on the hat, but the hat has far more stitches than the mitten does. So if we use the yarn B, without cutting it, then we wouldn't get the same colour gradient that we have here. And that's absolutely fine. If you want to just go for it and use the yarn B and see what colours come out, go for it, no problem at all. But if you would like to get yours to match a bit more like I have mine, what I did was I worked this section here, and then I cut the yarn, and I then wound a little bit ready to work this next section of this one here. Let's pop it there so that it makes some sense, and then we will work the sand colour. So then once that is done, I then have a concoction of yarn here that will then, I'm going to unwind it and start with this brownie colour here that will then match here and go to there. And then if I need more for this purple match at the top, I've got the next section that I cut there. So basically you're just cutting a section, winding a bit, ready for the next part of it in the next mitten. So if that's something that you would like to do on your first mitten, all you need to do is, after you've done a section, break your yarn and wind a little bit off, break it again, and then use the next bit that you come to. On your second one, you need to use the little balls of yarn that you've created from your first one. Whatever colour you're using, grab it, because we're now ready to change to yarn B. Okay, so this is the last stitch of round 1 that I have, and what we need to do is to slip stitch into the back loop only of that first stitch of round 1, but we're going to slip stitch using our yarn B. So we yarn over and pull through, and then I always pull really tight, she says, get the right one, Hannah, pull really tight on your yarn A, and then chain 1 with your yarn B. So that will then set you up ready to work this second round of the mitten. And all we're going to do for this second round is work a single crochet in the back loop only of each of the stitches around. So go ahead and do that. And then if you're using the charts from the PDF, then once we've done this round, I will have a quick look at those with you just to go through them and show you how we need to start using them from the next round onwards. Righty ho, that's the end of round 2. And the great thing now is that we can keep using these yarns. We can carry our yarns up the back of our work. We don't need to break your yarn unless you're changing your little section of colour. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the back loop of that first stitch there, and I'm going to slip stitch with yarn A so that I'm ready, because I now know that this third round we're going to use yarn A. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm just going to grab my chart so we can talk through that together. Okay, sorry about the reflection of my lights there. I don't know if you can see probably the reflection of my face as well. So this is what the chart for the child one looks like. And just so that we can go through it together in case you haven't, there are full instructions within the PDF, but in case you've not encountered one before, up the side here is the colour that we're going to be using for the round. And these numbers here, 1 to 27, they're the round numbers. So we've just done rounds 1 and rounds 2. And the stitches 1 to 8 here is the repeat for the round. So all of the mittens work in a stitch multiple of 8 all the way around this body section. And so all the colours within this chart you can basically ignore. All that we're interested in overlay mosaic crochet is where the X's are. So rounds 1 and 2, they're all empty boxes, and all of those empty boxes mean that we just do a single crochet in the back loop only of each of our stitches. When we come to round 3 though, we can see that some of them are empty boxes and some of them have X's in. Those X's are mosaic double crochets, and so all we need to do is work a mosaic double crochet in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and then the 6th, 7th and 8th of the repeat. So essentially we have an empty box, that's going to be a single crochet in the back loop only, and then we have an X, 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 so we're going to work mosaic double crochets in the next 3. I can almost hear you saying to me, but Hannah, what do the yellow and the grey and all of those things mean? We will come to those, don't worry. At the moment, all we need to worry about is where our X's are on round 3, so we can work that together. Now, if you're working from the written pattern, it will tell you exactly what we've just said there, that we work a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch, and then we work a mosaic double crochet in the next 1, 2 and 3 stitches. Now, a mosaic double crochet is just a double crochet, but what we do is we don't work it into the stitch below, we go into the stitch below that. And the reason that we're working into the back loops only of all of our stitches is because then we have the front loop here that we're going to go down and work our mosaic double crochet into. So it's just a regular double crochet, but just worked 2 rounds below and into that front loop. So that's 2, and then that is 3. Then we're going to work a single crochet in the back loop only of the next one. And notice then that the 3 stitches that we worked in front of there, they stay empty. We're not going to do anything with those because we've worked our stitches down here. So then we're on our mosaic double crochet stitches. So we do 1, then 2, and then 3. And we just repeat that all the way around, single crochet and then mosaic double crochet in 3. Now at the end of that round, we know that we're going to now use round B for the next one. So we're going to slip stitch into the back loop only of that first stitch with our yarn B. Pull tight and chain 1. Now let's look at the chart again. Now we can see for round 4 that we have blank spaces for 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then we have a mosaic double crochet. And then we have blank for 1, 2 and 3. So we have 4 single crochet, 1 mosaic double crochet, and then 3 single crochet. So that now looks like this. We're going to work a single crochet in 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then a mosaic double crochet in the next. Oh, nearly. And then a single crochet in 1, 2 and 3. So that's now our repeat for all of this round. Single crochet in 1, 2, 3, 4, mosaic double crochet in our next, and then single crochet in 1, 2 and 3. So work your way around, and then when you get back to the beginning, you're going to slip stitch into your first and join yarn A, and then let's have a quick look what we'll do next after that. So round 5 is in A, and we're going to work a single crochet, 2 mosaic double crochet, and then 1, 2, 3 single crochet, then 2 mosaic double crochet. So work around on your chart or in the written pattern up until you get to the point where it either tells you in the pattern or shows you on here, which is our yellow boxes, where the thumb hole is going to be. So for this child size, I'm going to work up until I get to the end of round 8. So I'll finish in my yarn B, but I won't slip stitch into to start round 9. I'm going to meet you back when you're ready to start your thumb opening. So here I am at the end of round 8 for this size, and I'm going to chain 1, and I'm actually going to now break my yarn, because we now need to break our yarn at the end of a number of our rounds that will become rows to leave a space for our thumb hole here. Now it's different for the different sizes, so make sure you break where it tells you in the pattern for your size. And then what we need to do for round 9, as it's now going to be for this one, if we look on the chart, round 9, it's yellow, so it means at the end of that round we're going to break our yarn, and you just carry on working in exactly the same way, following the chart or following the written pattern to put your mosaic double crochets in the correct place. And you keep working and breaking that yarn up until you get to the end of the round that it tells you in the pattern or in the chart for your size. So for me, that's going to be the end of round 14. But what I'll do now is I'll just show you, because the technique is exactly the same that we're doing for this mosaic crochet. What I'm going to show you is that we're going to join our yarn. So our yarn A, that this one's still attached, so you can just use this one as it is for the first one, but at the end of it you'll have a tail. You're going to slip stitch into the back loop only of that first stitch. You're going to chain 1, and then you're going to work your 32 stitches just as they are in the chart or the written pattern. So that means we're going to work a single crochet in the back loop, then we're going to work 2 mosaic double crochet, just as we've been doing before. You follow that pattern or that chart, and then when you get to the end of the round, you're going to break your yarn, and then you're going to rejoin your yarn B, as it will come next, to that first stitch again. So let me go back and show you here. So at the end, you're going to do a chain 1 and break your yarn, and then you'll get yarn B. Let me show you now how it will be before we get there. You'll get your yarn B, and you'll go into the back loop only here of this stitch, and you will join your yarn B, chain 1, and then you will start the next round on the chart using your yarn B. And we just keep breaking our yarn and then rejoining at the beginning for as many rows as it tells us to in the pattern for the size that you're making, because it'll be different for different sizes, of course. And then when you get to the point where you're ready to rejoin and close your thumb hole, meet me back and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so here I am at the end of row 14, and I still have my yarn B attached here, but remember, for different sizes you'll be on a different round here. But when you're ready to, you can slip stitch into the back loop only of the first stitch of the round, just like we had been doing before we started to break and make this thumb space. Grab your yarn A, or whichever colour it needs to be for your size, and then pull tight, chain 1, and then off we go again. Just carry on working from the written pattern or from the charts, working your single crochets and your mosaic double crochets where they need to be in the pattern. And you keep working in this way up until you get to the point in your chart or written pattern where it tells you to either skip a stitch or work a mosaic double crochet 2 together. Now, once you get to those points, I'll find it in this size that we're doing. Hang on a sec. Here we go. So for this size that I'm making here, I'm going to go all the way up until I begin round 23. So I'll work following the written pattern or the chart up until I get there, and you do the same for the size you're making. And then when you get to a point in your pattern where it either tells you to skip or to work 2 mosaic double crochet 2 together, come back to me and I'll show you how to do both of those things so that we can close the top of the mitten. Okie dokie, so here I am ready to start my first round that has a decrease for this size, for the child size. I'm just about to start round 23 and the first box that we have here has gone grey and it says SK, which means that we skip that stitch and then we carry on to work mosaic double crochet in 3, single crochet in the next, and then mosaic double crochet in 3. So let's have a look what that looks like. So I've joined and I've chained 1 here, but what we're going to do is we're going to skip that stitch that we are in. So we just are going to go straight to the next stitch and work a mosaic double crochet in it. So we need 3 of those. That's 2 and that's 3. Then we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next and then mosaic double crochet in the next 3. And that's then our repeat for this round. So then we're going to skip the next stitch and then we're going to work a mosaic double crochet in 1, 2 and 3, and you'll see that the mosaic double crochets will line up there. So we're just literally missing out 1 of every 8 stitches here. There's our 3, then we single crochet in the back loop of 1 and then mosaic double crochet in 3. So if for the size that you're making you come to a point where it says skip on the chart or in the pattern, that's what we need to do. You literally just skip that stitch and then work into the next one with whatever the repeat tells you to do for that round. So go ahead and work those rounds that have skip in them, and then come back to me if you have anything in your pattern that says mosaic. I can't do this, I can't crochet and say the things at the same time. I'll stop. Anything that says mosaic double crochet 2 together, and I will show you how to do that. So for the child size, I'm going to go all the way up to round 27 and then I will be able to show you how to do that. So here we are at the beginning of round 27 of this child size, and I'm ready to work another decrease round. But in this one, the pattern and the charts tell us that we need to do a mosaic double crochet 2 together. Now that means we're just going to work over the next 2 stitches as mosaic double crochet stitches, but we're going to turn them into just 1. So I've joined here with yarn A, and now I'm going to, I've joined and I've chained 1, sorry, and now I'm going to begin a mosaic double crochet here in this first stitch, and then when you would normally yarn over and complete that stitch, we're not going to do that. We're going to yarn over and we're going to start another stitch in the next one along, and then we yarn over and pull through all of them, and that's our mosaic double crochet 2 together. So anywhere in the size that you're making, if you see that in the pattern, that's what we need to do. And then we follow along with the written pattern or the chart, and I'm going to work a single crochet in the back loop only of 3, and then I'm going to mosaic double crochet in 2. Now that forms the repeat for this round, and so we come to another 2 stitches that we're going to mosaic double crochet 2 together. So let's begin 1 there and then begin 1 there. Then we yarn over and pull through all 3, and then continue working that repeat all the way around. So there's 3 and then mosaic double crochet in the next 2. Now yours, the size you're making may not have your decrease on that round, so yours might be different, but any time in the pattern that you see mosaic double crochet 2 together, this is how we do it. We begin 1, we begin another, then you yarn over and pull through all of it. So now get to the part in the pattern where we're going to then start just working in yarn A. So for me, I've already got to that point in this colour, so I'll carry on and we'll work rounds 28 through to 31 together because they decrease and close the top now. So here we are at the end of that round, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch and stay in yarn A to work the top now. and I'm going to chain 1, and all I need to do now is work a single crochet in the back loop only of each of the stitches around, because we're basically what we're now going to do for the top is continue working the technique, the overlay mosaic crochet technique, but only use one color. And so what this does is means that we have the same thickness at the top of the mittens. Then at the end of that round we slip stitch into the back loop only of the first to join. Then we're going to chain 1, and our next round sees us working our decreases all the way around. So we're going to mosaic double crochet 2 together all the way around this round. So I begin 1, and then I begin 1, working 2 rounds below still, and then yarn over and pull through. And you're going to work that all the way around. So the next stitch and the next, work those together. So just work that all the way around and then slip stitch in the first to join again. So now here I am going to slip stitch in that first stitch to join, and then I'm going to chain 1 and just repeat the last 2 rounds that we've done. So a single crochet in the back loop only of each for this round, which will be much quicker now because we've got a lot less stitches. Then we slip stitch to join, then we work our decrease round of mosaic double crochet 2 together all the way around, and that will cinch in the top of this mitten for you. And then here at the end we're going to slip stitch into the full part of that first stitch to join, and then we can break our yarn, and then this end just needs to get weaved in and pull the top together. So here I am at the top of the mitten, and I'm just going to gently thread this around through that last round, just to close the top of that mitten. Then when you're happy that that's tightly closed, we can pop our yarn through the mitten and then weave in that end on the other side. And then whilst we're there, what we need to do is weave in the ends of our thumb rows. So go for it and weave in these ends, and then we'll be ready to add the thumb. So here we are, I've weaved in those ends, and now what we're going to do in order to add our thumb is turn to the right side facing again, and you're going to grab the hook that you were using for the body of the mitten and your yarn A, and beginning here at the bottom of the thumb opening, we're going to join our yarn, and then around this opening we're going to slip stitch 14 evenly. Now that should work out as 1 per side of a row that you had, but just work your way around gently, getting your 14 slip stitches just all the way around. But for different sizes that will be different. I can remember for the toddler size it's 12, but obviously you will have a smaller space for that. So again, it should equate to 1 slip stitch per side of each row. So I've done 7 up that side, and now I'm going to work 7 down this side. Now we're just going to slip stitch into that first one to join, and then we'll chain 1 and we'll be ready to work round 1. No, that was round 1, Hannah. We're going to work round 2 now, and that's going to be a single crochet in the back loop only of each of them around. Now when working around this round, you can either go through just the back loop of the slip stitch, or you can do the back loop of the slip stitch and the main body as well. That will just give you a firmer grounding, I don't know what the right word is there, for your thumb if you would like it, but you can just go through the back loop if you would prefer to. So just work a single crochet all the way around. Then when you've done those, you're going to slip stitch into your first stitch to join, and we're going into the back loop only again, just as we have been doing. And then we're going to chain 1, and you're going to repeat that previous round that we just did. So single crochet in the back loop only of each. And then we just slip stitch in the back loop only of that first one to join. Now for round 4, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to mosaic double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Now just check on your size because that will be different for different sizes, but we go down 2 rounds here into that front loop and work a mosaic double crochet. So that's 1, That is 2. We've got 3, 4, and then 5. Next up, we need to work what I've called, I haven't encountered it before, so I didn't know what to call it, a mosaic single crochet in the next 4, because I wanted to make the thumb have some shaping here so that it wasn't sticking out too far. I wanted it to shape nicely and be more comfortable. So we're using shorter stitches here now. So we're going to work a single crochet into the front loop only 2 rounds below. So that goes in here. And the only difference is to a mosaic double crochet is that it's just a single crochet, but we work down 2 rounds below into that front loop for 4 stitches. Then when you've done those, we're going to go back to working mosaic double crochet stitches for the rest of them, so another 5. And this is the same principle for all of the sizes, just the numbers and the amount of rounds that we do will be different. Here's the last one, that is 5 done. So now we're going to slip stitch in the back loop only of that first one. We'll chain 1 and then we're going to single crochet all the way around in those back loops. So then back at the start, we're going to slip stitch in that first stitch in the back loop, and then we're just going to repeat what we did 2 rounds previously. We're going to work our mosaic double crochet in 5, and then we're going to mosaic single crochet in 4, and then mosaic double crochet in 5. Now we're ready to slip stitch, work our chain 1 and then work a single crochet in each of them, in those back loops of course. Then we slip stitch and we chain 1, and for this size on round 8 now we're ready to start decreasing to close the top of our thumb. So we're going to work mosaic double crochet 2 together just like we did at the top of the mitten. So we begin a mosaic double crochet and then we begin another, and then we yarn over and pull through. We do that twice. And then we're going to mosaic double crochet in 6, and then we're going to mosaic 2, I can't say it, we're going to mosaic double crochet 2 together. Can't say it and I can't do it either. Here we go. And then we do that once more over the last 2 stitches we have here. So mosaic double crochet 2 together there. Then we slip stitch in the first in that back loop only, chain 1 and work a single crochet in the back loop only of each round. And of course our stitch count will have decreased for this round now. Then we're ready to slip stitch in that first, chain 1, and our final round for this size is a mosaic double crochet 2 together all the way around. So that will take us from our 10 stitches that we had in the round before down to 5. Then at the end of that round we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch to join, and then we're ready to break our yarn and weave in that end. So now with our thumb complete, we can turn our cuff up, and then if you want to you can add a little handmade label like I have done on my adult cuffs, and if you like these I'll put the link in the description below from where I got them. Thank you so much for joining me again. I really hope you've enjoyed this pattern. I can't wait to see your Starlight mittens and hats and sweaters and all the other things. So please do come and find me if you make some. Find me on social media. I'm Hand Jan Crochet everywhere you'd expect me to be, and I will see you again soon.